Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
All right, let's light this candle. Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host, Jared Bachman-Stubbs, and we are here to talk about Season 4 of The Boys. Work schedules prevented me from being able to do a week-to-week review, but I'm very excited to talk about this season, its ups, its downs, some things that didn't quite work for me, some things I fucking loved about this season, and how I cannot wait to do a full rewatch of this and Gen V leading up to what will be the final season of The Boys. Something I am very bittersweet but very excited about. But I am not alone. I am, of course, joined by friend of the show, one Gerry the Canon Junkie from the Bombadcast.
Hey, I'm sneaking into all the other shows and stuff like that. Listen, I'm here. And as we are about to find out, I now understand where all the memes come from. I understood the memes. I understand the origin of the memes, which is like a whole nother depth of a meme. And so I am ready to show my newfound crash course diploma off tonight. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Thank you for having me. I almost knocked my car off my desk. Thank you.
So, we are excited to have you, and a first-time guest here at the Nerd Academy podcast, one that I speak to online in text and have guested with so many times on other shows that it has not occurred to me that this is the first time they're actually on my show, which blew my mind. The one, the only motherfucker, it's Joey Tight Pants, Joe Organa.
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm here. I am also a Nerd Academy virgin. This is my first time. And I'm excited and I'm a little bit nervous, but it's something that I've been thinking about for a while.
It's okay. Joe, I'm here to hold your hand and also to watch.
Thank you.
So, here's the thing. I have shared airtime with Joe more times than I can count. And Joe and I have talked about each other on screen more times than I can count.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say confidently, every time you say some like innuendo-laden thing, I find myself flustered and don't know quite how to respond.
As you should.
Which, as Gerry can attest, rare for me to not have a retort to something.
This guy likes to talk. This guy right here.
Listen, there are two people who can confidently and consistently shut me down. One is my girlfriend Taylor. The only person who has ever in a heated debate hit me with some shit so vicious that it shut me the fuck up in an instant. Shouts out to Ionized Bastards at the time I took away a Mandalorian's right to go to heaven by ripping his helmet off while I was interrogating him.
We talked about that. That was the right choice. Anyway.
And we'll do this plug right now. When you're watching this, the season finale of Ionized Bastards will be out. So go watch that and see why I was right and he deserved it. That motherfucker had that coming.
Yes, he deserved to die. And I
hope he burns in hell. He didn't have a choice. He's not going to heaven.
No.
Long-time listeners know the bit. But and the other person is Joe Organa, who gets me flustered. But you know, when I'm flustered and I need a little bit of liquid courage, or I need something to drown the sorrows away the way that Homelander needs breast milk, I turn to Sunday's Bloody Mary, an ad pivot I'm sure Colin and Annie would appreciate. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse with their 3-time award-winning spicy season mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice ain't for you. They also have their equally award-winning pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus if you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, and some rinse salt if you're feeling nasty. This former bartender does not like Bloody Mary mix, except for one, and that is Sunday's, the only Bloody Mary mix that can surpass a from-scratch Bloody Mary. So if you want to change the way that you bloody, use the link in the description down below and use the code TNAP, TNAP at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
do it. So, Gerry, I want to start with you because this is so funny to me. Now, we talk often with a number of our mutual friends in the Star Wars creator environment, nerd culture, whatever.
We do go on. Yeah.
And I have been ridiculed.
I might have been part of this ridicule.
You've been part of this ridiculing for being the only person in our immediate friend group, at least in a specific group chat, who fucking loves the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes to call me an edgy little bastard. Everybody likes to be like, Jared's an
so
edgelord. Jared, here comes Jarod, who loves the Force Unleashed and Vegeta and Shadow the Hedgehog, and and that's the bit, and I wear it with pride. I am the intellectual edgelord.
It's a great wrestling name, by the way.
Thank you. Be gone the Dark Jedi. Here comes the intellectual edgelord. And you decided you were going to take the plunge.
Yes.
So how did that go? Finally. And at what point? So I'm gonna be very self-flagellating for a moment. Okay. When did you decide to do this? When did you decide? How and when did you decide you were going to give the boys a shot, despite its unearned bad reputation among some of our peers? And at which point in that did you realize that
this motherfucker don't miss?
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
That is very accurate. So, okay, I have to say that Jarod was not the only one knocking on the door at 3 a.m. Of my apartment, begging me to watch The Boys. I have a friend who we met at a previous job and everything. We just kind of we'll go to the bars and stuff like that. And every time we get together, this man will ask me, "Have you watched The Boys yet? You will love it." And every time I go, "I'm sorry, man, I just haven't been able to pull that trigger yet," and stuff. And it wasn't and I will say, look, who cares what our peers say and the upturned noses towards everything? Look, I love our friends. I love the people. I love our circle. I love the kind of corner that we've created on the internet. But they don't. They
get it. They don't get it.
They don't have taste.
Well, what I was gonna say is they don't control this weird ass noggin on top of my neck, and so I listen. Will I be a part of some light-natured ribbing? Of course, and that's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it light-natured ribbing because it's the thing oh, you like this thing and you like Hard Mountain Dew, which I've got it. Listen, and I am not one to talk. I have a case of Hard Mountain Dew in the fridge as we speak, so I have no leg to stand on in this argument either. I'm just as much of an edgelord, and again, I love you. I love all our friends, but no one can tell me what to do, which is part of why I didn't watch this for so long. I was just it's like everyone would tell me The Boys, and here's another one, and this is not, and everyone watching this right now knows that this is not a proper, this is not a one-to-one here comparison. They would also tell me that you need to watch Big Bang Theory. And the Big Bang Theory, I think, is one that has kept me from watching so many things. But I've had a lot of things. That happens to me. I'm one of those people.
It's so random.
It's not that I want to. Everyone's is like, you're into nerd stuff, right? You would love Big Bang Theory. My sister
Watch the show that set nerd culture back 3 fucking decades.
As like when it came out, it was already uncool to be like nerds are really nerdy, right? I mean, it was already like, guys, we've moved past this. It's like it's fine. There are a lot of cool, really hot people who are into nerdy shit.
Character on the Bombadcast, my Nana, who loves to watch when I'm live on things. Will constantly be like, you really got to give Big Bang Theory a try. And I'm like, I've watched 3 episodes and wanted to walk into fucking traffic. I can't. I fundamentally, I hope I never run into Chuck Lorre in a dark alley. I'll put it that way. Everything about that show fills me with a fundamental fucking rage that I will never be able to quantify.
Yeah.
And again, is it my place to speak on like ableist tropes? No. I don't understand the nuances enough to have an opinion on that. I know that the people who do have those credentials have. What I will say is I've never met a single nerd who talks like that. No, let me rephrase that. I've met like maybe 4 or 5, and I'm 26 years old, and I'm surrounded by fucking dorks.
Well, Jared,
I can't stand that shit, man.
Listen, nerds, they don't know how to talk to a woman. Have you ever seen a nerd try to talk to a woman? Oh my! It's like Rodney Dangerfield humor is what I feel like is on this. Anyway, again, not to we're not here to crucify Sheldon and everything like that, which by the way, the only thing I liked about young Sheldon,
there are 8 iffy waddy ways. For every Sheldon Cooper, there are 8 iffy waddy ways who are nerds who do nothing but fuck. Okay? Yeah. That is all Iffy Wadaway does. He hosts Actually, and he fucks. And he also goes to the gym. 3 things that Iffy Wadaway does.
I wish that my high school had a band, because apparently that's where everyone fucks, is in band. And so it gets weird in that, is what I've heard. But anyway, this is not about the boys at all at this point. But I don't, really... I don't put it past myself. But no, so all that baggage that we just unpacked right there on screen. And I just told Jared as we got on here, and I'm okay saying this, like I'm recently unemployed, and I told Jared it's the best thing that's ever happened to him, because I finally was like, you know what? I'll give the boys a chance. I have time. What am I? I'm in between. Well, I'm looking for jobs. I'm trying to, I'm hoofing it and stuff, but like I could also just like watch these superheroes be complete dickwads, apparently. And what I was not prepared for was how emotionally invested I was going to get in the story of specifically these characters who are fighting insurmountable odds, which is what it feels like we are all facing every day of our goddamn lives. And it's a very relatable, very human story. Which I knew once I got into it, I just could never quite pull the trigger. It was daunting and stuff. And then I ended up watching it within I think the span of a week. So, but it is one of those shows that it is crazy irreverent, which I love. I love irreverent humor. It is, absolutely the goriest thing I probably have ever seen in my entire life. I think it is the goriest thing I've ever seen. I'm not sure. There's a lot, which is fine. It's fine. I can deal with entrails. It's okay. They're just all over this show. But again, when you get into it, the political, here is something that has been in my head that I haven't said to you yet, Jared, but I know you'll agree with this. And this is a very plain statement to anyone who watches The Boys. No one is doing political satire of our current political situation in America. No one is doing satire of our situation in America, just period, like The Boys is doing it. No one is doing it that well, I think, personally, after being all caught up, and now I'm with you all. I'm one of you now, and so I'm happy. I'm excited to be here. I still need to watch Gen V. I do still need to watch Gen V, I will say, but to get on that train because I love this universe. I'm so enthralled in what's going on. And so I'm going to shut up and stop talking now so more people can talk, because it's been something that I've been waiting to gush on for a long time. And I thank Jarod for bringing me on the show to talk about this after I watched it, after I've been into The Boys for literally like 3 weeks. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Listen, man, I just like hearing people say I'm right. Joe, how did you get into the show? Because we kind of had like a brief discussion before we started that like none of us have actually touched the Boys comics, and that's for the better.
Yeah.
So you said you were a day one Boys fan.
I was, yeah, no. I mean, I started watching The Boys from the premiere episode at the premiere date because I don't know. I think I watched the marketing for it. I am a consumer of media. I enjoy it, and I was big into Marvel at the time, and I was like, oh, this looks like a more grown up, like crazier Marvel for me. Like, oh, that sounds exciting. I didn't go into it like I would like a Star Wars show where I was like, oh, I'm so excited. But I went into it like, oh, this looks funny. This looks interesting. I'm ready to check out. And I did. And I jumped in. And from the first episode, I loved it. Like that very first scene with Huey and his girlfriend at the time. You know, how does that not grab you immediately and like drag you in and make you want to watch more? It was reverent and funny and serious, and like the acting is really good in the show. There's some incredible acting in the show. There's incredible writing, and the comedy genuinely makes me belly laugh. Like some of the stuff genuinely has me in tears laughing. So any show that can make me laugh that hard, but also like make my heart break for Kamiko and stuff like that. Like it's a really good show, and I don't understand. I didn't even know there was like any negative connotations to it because much like Jarod, I don't really have anyone to talk about it with. Like I watch it alone. I don't watch it with anyone. I don't have anyone to talk about it with. So I genuinely I watch it on my own. It's my own little secret thing that I do. I catch up on over the weekend, and I love it. It's a great show.
Absolutely. You know, I think that like one of the funny things, and I kind of want to hit this up top, you know, is like the bizarre cultural conversation that has been happening with The Boys with this season. It started with Gen V. And it's one of those moments where like, you know, it's the reason why I made the Fandom Menace and how we got here. And it is the bizarre way that media becomes woke, air quotes, because whatever the fuck that means, when diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And it speaks to a political illiteracy, not even media illiteracy, but like a political illiteracy that I think is like shaped the way that we talk about politics. And it's something that I think makes The Boys particularly intelligent. And it's an angle I've not seen in a lot of political satire outside of, honestly, like the Benoit Blanc mystery movies, that takes the angle of like corporatism, white liberalism is as deserving of ridicule as the right. And the bizarre culture war and like cultural warfare that we're always experiencing. Now, when I say that, I want to make another clear distinction. I'm not saying that The Boys criticizes the left and the right equally, because it doesn't. The critique that so many associate with being of the liberal elite or of liberalism as a concept is making fun of the vapid ways that corporatism loves to latch on to like social issues. And that I think it's fascinating the way that people struggle to understand that Vought as a company within this show is meant to represent that, like, just the wanton cultural hijacking, you know, stuff like The Girls Get It Done, stuff like Black at It throughout the show, and things like that, and like A-Train's like like African whatever costume in the previous season. And these are all manifestations of the ways that mega corporations will latch onto individual artists who want to say something and milk that for all it's worth. There is nothing fun. There's fundamentally nothing progressive about VOT as a company or any of its like diversity initiatives that we see depicted in the show. It is in many ways antithetical to any type of left-leaning critique within its own world. For us, the viewer, we see these mega corporations that want to benefit off of social progressivism and the way that these sinister companies like can't help but find a way to try to profit off of it. And I think that where that again weird political illiteracy comes into play is that they see, oh, they're making fun of wokeness. No, they're making fun of the way that companies go out of their way to try to do something called woke, again, whatever the fuck that means, and lampoon the inherent conservatism in that it is at the end of the day using people as a vehicle for profit, for appearing a way that is fully not what they represent. And again, Gen V is again such a great battleground for that in the way that they take a character, this mild spoiler, Gerry, nothing major, but they take
It's
a character like Jordan, who is an Asian American who is bi gender because they're a shapeshifter, and they will let. They're a shapeshifter who alternates between a male presenting form and a female presenting form.
Right.
And that what is one of the first things they say talking about how marketable Jordan would be as a soup? Asian doesn't play well in the Rust Belt, and the weird bi gender thing is going to put people off. If they're so woke, that shouldn't be a question. They're they basically have Sue Storm's power set. They should be on the 7 by sheer virtue of like the destructive capability of someone who's like telekinetic in the most devastating way. But because of the marketability of bigender Asian, the way that all of the black heroes end up getting lumped together in these weird black addict campaigns. It's a huge controversy when we find out that Maeve is bi, but we turn it into girls get it done and all like it's.
Oh
like,
man, just that whenever they have like I think at the that part of the theme park where it's like what is it, Maeve's inclusive land or something, and it's just rainbows everywhere, and it's just like really trying too hard and plastering it everywhere was yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
And I think that like that misunderstanding betrayed so many fans of this show, and they did not. And I truly, and again, this is where like the media literacy and political literacy kind of hold hands in terms of people who don't fucking understand the world around them. They didn't click with that crowd of people until they watched a show that was deliberately diverse. There have been a lot of gender swaps in this show between Grace Mallory and Vic Newman, and like so many things that like changed from the comics. I didn't really care to mention because, again, let's be very honest here. Oh well, the main character who's supposed to be a Japanese woman was a Japanese woman, but because there weren't a whole lot of other swaps outside of that. That people noticed, or in like major, like again, members of the boys or members of the 7 characters for the most part, nobody batted an eye. And then we get to Gen V, where it's led by a black woman, starring an Asian man and an Asian woman. I'm not sure on the pronouns of the people who play Jordan, so if I'm wrong on that, someone correct me in the comments. Led by a black man, led by women, like that again, the core cast of that show, super diverse, which is good because that representation does matter. But it wasn't until they saw that they went, is the boys woke? And then they're like, well, they're just going so over the top with all the January 6th stuff. And it's like, no, motherfucker, Homelander has been this analog for Trumpism this entire time. It is the way that like an attention seeking, power hungry, like vessel of whiteness that is, for the most part, apolitical in many ways, that like someone like Homelander, someone like Trump, like just didn't really give a fuck about politics. And actively, obviously, they represent a lot of right-wing corporatism and white supremacy. Like all of that is built into it, but it's so passive that it isn't until we recognize a political ideology that puts you at the center that you start caring about politics. And it's weird that so many people didn't recognize that until we literally hit the I could shoot someone on Fifth Ave and get away with it, with Homelander like lasering the guy at the end of season 3.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's my little rant at the beginning. But yeah, no, Travis absolutely was a person who put me onto this. He was like, the comics are kind of rough, but like, I think this show will be good. And he got me to watch it. And I think I've told this story on the show before. I almost had to quit the show after the 4th episode. I did not think I'd be able to get through it. The fucking plane infuriated me.
Oh,
I was
I had to take a break after that.
Yeah, and I did too. And I was like, I don't know if I can watch the next episode. And he was like, I think you will be able to get into this. And in that time, like Homelander has become one of my favorite villains in all of fiction, because of everything he represents and everything that like is the core of that character, is the rot that we are all dealing with today. Again, it is the politics it is the way that a apathy and distance from actual politics is inherently something that will make you right wing, that like is the core of his character, that I have just I'm so glad I stayed with it, because there's nobody in fiction I love to hate more than fucking Homelander. But Gerry, how are you feeling about the season overall?
Well, so apart, you're bringing up the controversy, which I didn't hear much about. People, I feel like when this season started, there was a big uproar as well, when people were getting like upset about, I think, Frenchie dating, I forget what his name was. Yeah. And just people going like, this show, I thought that happened this season. This show's woke. And that made me actually want to watch it a little more. Because I'm like, oh, okay, it's upsetting all the right people. I do need to get into this. But to watch through all of this and get to this season and wonder what show those people have been watching, you've said it a lot more eloquently, but like, just as someone who is fresh to this, like, I can't see how you can watch The Boys and not get the Trumpian overtones, frankly.
Yeah.
It's very overt, very overt. But all that aside, so this season, I think, has been a little more of an emotional roller coaster for me, because I am constantly cheering for Billy Butcher. I am constantly cheering for that man. He's a bad man. He does some fucked up shit, but he's got a good heart at the center if he would just fucking let it out. And so I have been like sitting there waiting for this guy to do the right thing. And then now we have him at this, on death's door for this entire season. I'm still worried about Butcher and things like that. I hate Butcher and I love Butcher like all the time. And so I went into this season kind of, again, wanting to see what the fuss was all about. And frankly, it's just more of The Boys when I got to it and stuff. So it truly is just people finally figuring out that this is making fun of me.
Yeah.
Like it anymore.
This is fucking play about us.
But I mean, and again, it hits on a lot of stuff. Like, me and Jarod are very like interested in the conspiracy world and things like that. Jarod is a scholar of the conspiracy world. I like to dip my toe in every now and then and like see kind of how crazy things are getting.
My brain is fully melted.
Well, and it's totally, again, you are a great source of knowledge on that because it hasn't fully engulfed you yet. We'll see whenever you do. If you ever, we'll see when you do your suicide by cop. If you are like at the end, how far it really affected you. But man, was it the first or second episode where they
We'll
go
see.
to the
We'll
like
see
the
when I
convention?
eventually get my Billy Butcher like venom tendrils coming out after I've had too much super male vitality and fully pilled.
Just like tendrils made of like just pure turds is what it's gonna be. But I'm trying to. It was the episode where they go to. Was it the first or second where they go to the firecrackers like QAnon? I think it was the second.
Yeah, it's their Q rally. Yeah,
that might be like it's straight up QAnon, and it was very again a little close to home and things like that. Not to me, but just to again our political and just the situation of how culture in America feels right now. With like, I mean, you have those like what the kids table where they're coloring guns or something or whatever, or which again, whatever. But like at the same time, it's like, it's just kind of fucked up. It's like for no reason. Anyway, I'm babbling at this point, but
if I may, on the point of the
please.
conspiracy stuff, and I tweeted about this when I watched the episode. As somebody who is as like academically fascinated and entrenched in that world, again, I can say like it is the boys and the Benoit Blanc movies that understand that culture better than any media I have seen depict it.
Yeah.
And are like, because again, like, and you'll get different parodies and different, whatever, and like, like SNL shits the fucking bed every time it tries to hit these jokes. Where like we harp on Jewish space lasers, and we harp on like little bits of like lore drops that have made its way onto CNN. And I'm not fucking kidding. I need to know if anybody on the writers' room listens to the QAnon Anonymous podcast. Because I am a very vocal fan of QAnon Anonymous. Those guys have done amazing fucking work at documenting the insanity that is the Q movement. And it was not just talking points, but they were hitting the specific timbre of the way that so many figureheads in the conspiracy movement talk about their enemies and talk like everything that was being said, down to like the way that like the booths, like the specific shit at the booths was just, yes, this is what this shit actually looks like, down to and including the most important thing that I take umbrage with those movements, and that is the faux outrage about child trafficking.
Yeah. Oh, that was you. And again, by the way, in that episode, I was pausing and reading every goddamn sign.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I wanted to see, because I know it's satire stuff, and it's gonna be. I'm gonna laugh at it for not to keep myself from crying and shivering on the couch.
Most of that's real shit, though. Most of that was real shit.
It's
the only
so
things
real.
that I have not seen in those communities was the shit about superheroes.
Yeah,
because we don't have a 7.
Soups are like, it's almost like they take the thin blue line movement and put soup where the cop should be. What it is.
Well, and that was something, and
not ACAB.
And I do want to follow up on this, as I mentioned in the review I did of Gen V, about how I didn't quite know how I felt about the soups are being discriminated against idea at first, because to me, I am so, and this is one of those moments where like my own like media diet was like making me have to unpack what I was watching in a way that kind of fucked with me. Is I am so used to superheroes as a suppressed class, as mutant kind with the X-Men. So I was like, I don't quite know what to make of this until we arrive at this season and Eric Kripke is able to go, hold on, let me cook. Soups are guns. Soups are guns. Soups are cops. And in this way of like, look at this group of people, look at this idea that is nothing but a representation of power and violence, and the way the way that a certain group of people who are kind of predisposed to really love there being violent people in control, to wanting to see this violent group or this violent idea, this violent item have more social autonomy and personhood than actual fucking people. And that was the moment I was like, okay, Kripke's fucking cooking with gas. And is hitting this shit out of the goddamn park. But yeah, no, like Firecracker is the best Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like I like the way, like, again, like and
Everything.
so many,
And Alex Jones.
and Alex and John. Like, he's like it's so fascinating. I listen to way too much knowledge, right? That I just referenced him by first name only. But no, and that's the thing, is that like so many parodies of this specific flavor of dipshit or is just this word salad of buzzwords. It's the same way where in most media, frankly, a lot of right-wing media, where they want to like where your standard SJW is like a black woman with pronouns and colored hair and a nose ring, like and just saying shit, just with words that don't mean anything falling out of their mouth without a meaningful criticism. In the same way that a lot of liberal media just kind of like presses shuffle on a Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet and it's just babble. It's, and you aren't able to meaningfully criticize these people when all you're doing is the buzzwords. It's why I like Knowledge Fight so much. It's easy to make fun of Alex Jones when it's gay frogs, but when you're like, wait, he was at the Capitol, a bunch of his friends orchestrated January 6th. He's actually way more dangerous than we give him credit for. I thought he was just the gay frogs guy. I thought he was just the I'll eat my neighbor's ass guy. No, there's some horrific shit in here that we're not talking about because of the Bon Iver edit or gay frogs. And they do so beautifully here with Starlight. And the way that Firecracker and her animus towards Starlight, and the way that a lot of these worldviews are equal parts grift, equal parts believing it, and equal parts some bizarre sense of victimhood and aggrievement, which is just incredible. Joe, thoughts of the season overall, and we're going to circle back to the Butcher thing because I have a lot of feelings about Billy in this season.
This season overall feels a lot more. I know every season has been high stakes, but this one feels like we're coming to the ultimate point of the show in general. Whereas the first 3 seasons felt like it was setting it up, and each season it got more and more pinpointed towards this ultimate destination where we're going to be next season. And it just, we're at a tipping point with all of the characters right now, especially with how it ended. And with like, we're seeing, I mean, Sage was incredible this season. I loved her introduction. I loved the way we left with her and Homelander. Such an interesting character. Just fucking with these dumb people just because she can, just because she's bored, just because it's the only thing that she can do to stimulate herself. It's so interesting, so cool. It was such a great storyline. And I'm loving seeing Homelander's fall into madness now that he wasn't already crazy. But him and his giant drawer full of pubes, I am, it's just, it's really like, it's
I love this show, man. I love this fucking show.
He's tackling his own mortality and his own aging, and that is making him insane. I think also having his son there with him growing older and not having that same connection with him that he wants to, I think that also is playing with his mind and his mortality. And it's so many stupid people in positions of power that are leading the majority of the world to their death, which is such a great reflection in reality, because anyone who's lived in a country with a government, anyone who's worked in a corporation with a CEO and managers knows that a lot of the times the fat floats to the top. They make the most money, they're brain dead, they're making all the decisions, and they're just so separated from the majority of the people down below that they're self-absorbed. They're only thinking about what they want. They're not thinking about what's right for the group as a whole. They're not worried about making decisions based on other people's thoughts or ideas, because they've already floated to the top. That means they're the best. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot with the 7 and especially people like Homelander and Firecracker, who is such a great representation for so many people with the Twitter account.
Just all
Honestly,
Twitter, basically.
Just all the blue checks. All the blue checks can be sorted into
God,
Homelander,
please.
Firecracker, or the Deep.
Yeah, or a porn bot.
Deep.
Yeah, the Deep.
I classify that as porn bot.
Yeah, that's fine. That's relatable. Tentacle porn bot.
My gills in bio.
Yeah, tentacle porn. But I would like to say, I feel like a lot of the people that are calling this show woke, and all of a sudden, I don't think a lot of them were watching it and not seeing it the first 3 seasons. I think a lot of them are reacting to the small amount of them that were watching and are reacting now. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of them have never seen the show, don't watch the show, and they're just reacting to news and the few people that are watching it and reacting, and it's just snowballing based on uneducated outrage, which is such an issue. People most of the time on every side of politics, most people on the internet are not fully educating themselves. They're not reading a single article. They're reading one tweet by an influencer on either side, and they're reacting, and it's just catching traction. Like, you know what I mean? I've had many hit tweets based on just a joke or whatever, and no one should be listening to me for most of my ideas. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, a lot of people do listen to a lot of people with a lot of bad ideas. And I think that's probably a lot of what's happening with the show.
No, I think there's a lot of truth to that. You know, I think that, I mean, hey, like we are all 3 of us fresh off of week-to-week coverage of The Acolyte. And the amount of people who I watched get their opinions from a guy who is proud of his AI slop recreation of Dark Empire.
It looks so bad. It looks so stupid. It looks so stupid.
And watching him change his opinion, or not even change his, not like change his opinion as in he developed an opinion as he went. That's good. That is the sign of somebody who can think and string sentences together. But somebody who would just like, whose opinion was like it was like a modular couch.
Yeah.
Who just this thing will get clicks. I'm gonna I care about Coyote Mundi. The stranger is so powerful that it's weird that Darth Plagueis wouldn't have sensed him. Oh, wait a minute. Darth Plagueis is in the show. Darth Plagueis is too young to actually be in the show, even though none of that's canon anymore. Like it's absolutely that like weird like level of I am donning the opinion of another motherfucker who is not intelligent enough to engage with the text and cosplaying as though that was actually my opinion, because I myself think I could engage with the text and did not.
I think The Acolyte is suffered from what the next season of The Boys will suffer from, and that's people making an opinion before they even watch it.
Oh yeah.
And just changing their narrative each episode based on that initial choice before the show even started. People went into The Acolyte because it's Star Wars, and there's a huge community of people who their only interest in the show and in the franchise is to hate on it now.
Yeah.
Since the very beautiful Disney sequel trilogy that so many people hate. And you know what? I'm fine with people hating any Star Wars media or any media, as long as you watch it first and you made that opinion because you genuinely just didn't like it. I also think even if you do hate it, there's no reason to go on the internet and just try and drag it down for other people who genuinely like it. Because I happen to be one of those people that likes most Star Wars media. But I think the next season of The Boys will be less of a reaction to what's happening on the show and more of a, we're going to review bomb it. We're going to, before we even see it, and something like that makes my brain hurt. And it makes me irrationally angry, because you're trying to take something people are having joy from and trying to dog shit it, trying to bring it down, trying to get it not renewed based on nothing, because you didn't even watch it. And then you're going to release some AI bullshit that is so embarrassing. I felt embarrassed watching it. I felt bad for giving it the one view on Twitter. You're a hypocrite, because that's not good. That's not going to be good. It's bad. you look stupid, you sound stupid, you look bad, you should moisturize more and start taking some vitamins, babe, because your skin looks sallow. So, I wish everyone the best, and I want them to be happy and healthy, even if you're a dumbass who review bombs a show you didn't watch. At the end of the day, I want you all to be happy and healthy.
Yes. Still love when you see success. Everything with me is blessed. Kendrick Lamar, Euphoria.
Absolutely.
No.
AI shit looks bad though.
So it looks so bad. I love the term AI slop. It is the best description for any of that shit.
It's brilliant.
Capital S shit. But so I do want to circle back. Gerry, you brought up Butcher. Now,
Yes.
for long
My
time,
imperfect boy.
For a long time, I'm trying to remember. Was
He's
it
a bastard.
Nerd Academy, or were we still on Hall of Heroes? I don't remember for season 2, but I got worked up during season 2 because Travis, who had read the comics, was very. I was like, guys, I think Billy's going to do the right thing and help Ryan. I was like, Billy's going to do the right thing and help Ryan, and Travis was like, Butcher murdered Ryan when he was a baby in the comics. That's not what's going to happen. And I was like, no, I believe in Billy. And this was okay. So it had,
it's like the X-Files for me.
It was
It might go that way still.
The reason I can't tell if it was Hall of Heroes or Nerd Academy is because it was right before or right after the Rise of Skywalker. So the term Ben-demption was still in the vernacular. So I kept talking about like Butcher-demption. And I was like, we're going to get Butcher-demption. Like Butcher's going to make the right decision by the end. And Trevor was telling me I was wrong. He was telling me I was a fucking idiot. And then we get to the end of season 2. And Butcher, in the most compromising moment, the most... Obviously, there's no way to excuse him trying to kill Ryan. But the moment where it had been the most, you're wrong, but I get it, moment for him, and he does the right thing, and he takes Ryan under his wing, and he tries to take care of this kid. And again, Butcher, as is in his character, is so many ups and downs. Butcher represents the way that like that hatred and the way that what happens when we let our demons get the better of us. And it's a theme I loved in this season, is that through line of we need to choose to be better. And I love, and again, like both of you have said, nobody's doing political commentary quite like the boys right now.
Nobody.
Because it is not when they go low, we go high. It's none of that bullshit. It's when they go low, we engage them and do what needs to be done, but not at the cost of our dignity, and not at the cost of our humanity. When they go low, kick them in the fucking face. But after they've been kicked in the face, don't curb stomp them either. Is what when they go low, we go high should be.
Mm.
And I love so much that this season was about that struggle. And trying to find the difference between kick them in the face and curb stomp them while they're down.
Yeah.
And trying to differentiate those two things. And I was just so full of joy and hope this whole fucking season, watching Butcher do the right thing, telling Kessler, who I knew from the jump that had to be information. It's one of those things where it's like, did I see the twist coming? Yes. Does it matter? No, because it was so incredibly depicted.
Absolutely.
But I was just I was just so proud of him. And it is in those moments of that dark night of the soul where you succumb and you lose control. And very much like Star Wars, where like, the dark side is this incredibly fertile ground for allegories about addiction. That, when you reject the dark side after you've touched it, every day is a choice to deny it. Every moment is a choice to reject it. And watching Butcher have that moment of being fully emotionally compromised, feeling like Ryan is lost, there is nothing we can do to come back from this, fully succumbing. It's just so tragic, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart.
It was the most tragic thing of the show, man.
I was
Seriously,
so Butch
one of.
But yeah, I just that moment was just so. Again, it was it hurt, but it was so beautiful. Gerry, Butcher thoughts.
Well, I mean, and again, as a guy who has just been cramming this shit for the last 3 weeks in the best way, it's all. I mean that affectionately, but it was. I will yell at Butcher from my seat. I'll be like, mainly because the dude actually fucking stepped up for Ryan in season 3. At the beginning of season 3, he's like, that was season 3, correct? Where he finally, he finally goes like, look, and he's trying, and I'm like, okay, good, stay on this path. I knew it was gonna get fucked up because we got a few more seasons, and this show is just not. No one can be happy in this show, because it mimics real life. So, but just goddamn, man, with the whole between like him. By the way, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, fucking fantastic and everything. I absolutely loved that he was in this because he was one of the best. But the last couple of seasons of Walking Dead I watched were with him, and I was just like, that's good. I'm gonna stop it here because Jeffrey Dean ain't gonna get any better. he's already done it. But I don't know. You said it very eloquently. Just the way that, and again, as a father, you see this person struggling. It really kind of, there is something deep inside of, I feel, and maybe I don't, I won't speak for every parent, but I feel like if you're a human, most parents are like have that internal struggle of, am I fucking this kid up? Am I doing the wrong thing? And this is to the extreme, of course. But just to be cheering this guy on, that like now he truly does care for this kid, and this kid like when he gives him the picture for, what is it, for Christmas this season, like I cried, like I was crying because that is just like it's beautiful. But man, and I was with you, Jarod. I was cheering this man on, this awful man, whenever he was like telling Jeffrey Dean Morgan to go fuck himself. And like when he goes, like, I was like, yes, Butcher, yes, keep going, Butcher. You're going down a path that I can actually follow, and I love you for this. Please keep going. And then we have I don't know, man. It's just it's Butcher is cynicism. He represents cynicism.
Yeah.
And it is something that can take the best people. And it's something that I feel like all of us struggle with sometimes too, with just everything, like I feel like we all have those moments. So that's why I don't want to idolize Butcher or put him on a pedestal, because I don't think he's a good person. But at the same time, I think that he's a human being, and I find it very interesting. I just find the struggle with cynicism to be an interesting character trait, especially for him. The way, and honestly too, Carl Urban. I mean, dude, let's go grab a beer, man. I fucking love you and everything already. But just Butcher is something I've never seen from him. And so I was right there with you. I was in the stands. I got the flag and the foam finger too. I'm saying, let's go, Butcher. You can do this, buddy. So I'm hoping he follows through, but don't look so hot.
Joe, what's your thoughts for this season? Because Gerry said a lot of things that I want to respond to, but I need you to speak before I go on another fucking rant.
I think what the show has done really well the past 4 seasons is start with a very loose story thread, and then really bring all those stories together to a nice point where they're all converging towards one end. And with Butcher, even before the show started, he had been through so much awful stuff, right? And the show, as it went on, he just went through more and more terrible shit. And like Gerry said, he's a human, he's a person, and I think the show has a lot to say about how different people handle trauma.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I'm sorry, my camera's about to freeze and die.
Oh no.
It just overheated. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have
Oh,
to
you're good.
restart it.
Here, hold on.
Okay, there it is.
No, you were speaking on before camera troubles. The way that like so many of these different characters
Right.
within, kind of move past their
Right,
trauma
and I think I think the show is about trauma ultimately, like most shows, like any show that is about humanity, is because ultimately life is just one long trauma and how you handle it. Life is suffering, that's what the Buddha said, right? Life is suffering. And I think Butcher is probably the way I would handle trauma in my life, which is to push it down, try to tell myself it doesn't affect me, harden myself off to other people and to those emotions. And ultimately, what that does is that makes you sick. And what is happening with Butcher? He's dying, he's rotting from the inside. And that's probably because he has been closing himself off emotionally. He's been pushing all his life trauma, everything that's been happening to him his whole life, down inside. And it's ultimately making sick. It's killing him. And I think it's a really interesting journey. And I'm worried about how this story is going to end for him. I think ultimately he is a good person. I think he wants good things. That devil on an angel on his shoulder, literally throughout this season. I think ultimately the angel will win out, but I think the devil is going to have his fun until the very end, and maybe the sacrifice is the only thing that Butcher will save him. So it's been an interesting journey for him as a character, and I'm excited to see how awful he's going to be next season.
I agree with you so much. One moment, sorry. No, and I think that like again, like the beautiful metaphor with him with like the rot from the inside and the way that so much of Butcher across this show is him hiding himself from his friends.
Mhm.
Like the fact that we get that heart-wrenching, and this is the moment that made me cry, where he is like telling Huey, like, I'm sorry I couldn't stop it, I'm sorry I couldn't be there. We're like, yeah, like obviously you want somebody to be able to run into action and be able to fight by side by side with your brothers and all of that, but like that was the first time that Butcher had a healthy reaction to not being able to do it all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
That you realize that the way that Butcher is so deceitful and goes out of his way to actively pull the wool over his friends' eyes to handle this all by himself is a representation of his tremendous fear of not being able to control the world around him, his tremendous fear of people getting hurt, and the way that he is like, okay, I care so much about all of you that the only way I can keep you safe is if I actively hurt you and push you away, both from me and the danger I'm bringing towards myself. And that the beautiful way that it presents itself as that Kessler instinct of, well, yeah, but I had to kill like Mr. Fantastic Preacher dude for you because your friends couldn't come to do it for you. Your friends couldn't come to save you. And the way that it's like, no, that's not true. Like, give it another minute, MM's coming in there with a heater and Starlight can singe the motherfucker. Like, any number of things could have happened to save him. But the way that manifests and the duality we get with all of the characters this season and them having to make hard choices and grapple with hard concepts of Huey in many ways accepting the things that Butcher can't, that there are some things he simply cannot control, and coming to terms with loss in a way that in a very roundabout way gave him the ability to truly make peace with A-Train. To truly bury the hatchet with him in the way that A-Train has accepted that, like, no, like I can't just hide under, if I don't do it, Homelander will kill me. There comes a point where just following orders is being complicit. It doesn't matter how under the gun you are. You might have to make a sacrifice to do the right thing. And that I thought was incredibly beautiful. Ashley coming to grips with the very similar thing to A-Train of, I can either die my own person or live as a thrall of Homelander. And then coming back to the boys of having to accept again, like, I have to let my friends do what needs to be done, and I can't be the one leading from the front all the time. And making that hard decision of, no, I need to stand and fight, but I need to do it differently. Frenchie learning that self-forgiveness, Kimiko learning that self-worth, Starlight coming to understand that, like, Annie and Starlight don't have to be these separate halves of who she is, that it is not that Annie can only be Starlight, it's that Starlight can only be as good as Annie is. And everybody by the end of this story triumphs in learning those lessons. Huey learns to let go. A-Train and Ashley learn to stand. A-Train, for the most part, learns to stand on his own 2 feet and do what needs to be done. Ashley succumbs under it because she's let this rot for too long that it's starting to cave in on itself. She fails that mission. Makes very brave decisions, like allowing himself to be, like, in the line of fire, but in the best way that he can. Frenchie learns to forgive himself, and so does Kimiko, and they both realize not only are they both deserving of love, they are deserving of each other's love because they see the other one as this ideal of what I can be if I work through it. All for Butcher to be at the precipice of getting it. And in those moments, and Gerry, I want to go back to what you said about the battle with cynicism. And I know a lot of people in my own life, and I've been there, and we've all seen it, where you have somebody who is fighting that cynical urge, who is doing so well to overcome it, and is starting to have that optimistic upswing on life worldview, and then we watch it cave in on itself because they were let down just big enough that not only is all that progress lost, we have regressed even further back to where they were at the start. And for Butcher, we have regressed so far beyond the start to all of the things Becca has told Becca, from the Force, has said to him.
Force Ghost Becca. Yeah.
Force Ghost Becca out the fucking window. He is more depraved, more violent, more accepting of any human losses than he ever was at the start. And he's drunk on that power. And another thing that I love, again, both of you guys were kind of alluding to, is the theme of the cycle of violence. I think a lot of people, and I think The Boys threads this very difficult needle of the violence is shocking and it's cartoonish, and sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's grotesque, and sometimes it's so grotesque it's funny. But at the same time, it's so fucking visceral. And it's so casual. And I think in many ways that represents the way that those in power do not view those who are afflicted with the violence they bring as human enough to mourn.
Mm-hmm.
We see that with the way that we talk about policing and the homeless and addicts. We see that right fucking now with the ongoing genocide in Palestine. That there is some that we have people who are so less than people that we cannot be bothered with considering the vicious, disgusting ways they are being done away with. And we see that with H, and we see that with all the soup, and we see that Billy is now continuing that cycle in the way that those who are aggressed upon will inevitably become aggressors and continue that cycle and continue to, like, have this ad hoc justification of violence being wrought on both sides. To now, congratulations, Butcher. You were so worried about Ryan becoming the next Homelander that Victoria Newman's fucking kid is going to be just like Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. You just added another step to this cycle and kept it going by viciously murdering her in front of her. Like, fuck. It's heartbreaking and it's so poignant.
it's funny because we also have that whole storyline with Homelander where he goes back down to where he was raised and exacts the violence that was bestowed upon him on the people who did it. And so it's just, it's a very, very important theme of the season.
Of course. And
the show.
Yeah. And, we can't talk about Butcher without Homelander. Again, this show gets Trumpism better than most political commentators. Again, I think that Eric Kripke has very deftly had his finger on the pulse of a specific element of Trumpism that we don't see talked about anywhere near as much, or as much as it should be, that is. And that is like, it's the banality of evil. It is the way that, Trump and, politicians and grifters like him. Politics is a game. It is a setting. Again, it is the apathy that lends itself to reactionary right-wing thinking that colors the behavior. But it is not until one realizes the utility in these movements, in this ideology, they kind of become untethered from their apolitical mores, and that we arrive at situations where we have Homelander who wants power, has no idea what the fuck that means, has no grasp on what that actually looks like, and how easily influenced he can be by people who are just good enough, and not to say Sage is just good enough, she's terrifying, but who are just, who have that right X factor of, I can push you in the exact direction I need you to be to do some heinous fucking shit that will benefit all of us actually in the end, and you get to look like a hero. It's Stephen Miller, it's also Steve Bannon, lots of Steves. It's all of those people in Trump world who tell him the right thing when he needs to hear it, and also guide him towards being deadly efficient in those machinations. And Joe, you brought up like the mortality, and it is of Homelander, and I think that's another thing that I love so much about this season and this series as a whole. But the way that this season has really like concentrated and like got down to its basic components of what makes Homelander a compelling villain. And that is the exploration of taking somebody so fundamentally powerful and why they think they are weak. And it is the little man syndrome. It is the realization that Homelander has been having every day of his life, probably, that, faster than a speeding bullet, heat vision, super strength, super senses. Age will come for me as it does all people. And every single person that I truly want to overpower, I can't, because it is not the fear or adoration I want. And it's that frailty that is at the core of like right-wing ideology and white supremacy, of this constant sense of insufficiency that makes him so compelling and terrifying. That I can't say I love Homelander. I'll get clipped. I love Homelander as a villain for all of those reasons. Yeah. Gerry, Homelander thoughts?
Well, this will be the first time I say this on a mic. After watching this show, I'm genuinely terrified of Homelander. Because I think I was expecting someone a little more cunning, and not that he isn't cunning. It's a little scarier that he is just this blind fury, like dipshit. Who just is so full of himself, which again goes to the very good satire of the whole Trump situation we've been dealing with for the past, my God, fuck, like, what is it, almost 10 years by the time we're gonna be fucking done with this shit.
Yep.
And like it's like, genuinely, I am terrified anytime there is someone in a scene with him who superpowered or not. Like there's a scene. What help me with what season this is? I think it's season 3 because it's after he loses his Nazi bride, and he's saving the woman from jumping off the building or something, and he makes her fucking jump, or he throws her or something.
You're right. It's season 3. It's right after Stormfront dies.
Every fucking time this motherfucker is on screen, I've laughed at him a lot too, because it's the milk thing is weird but funny as well. Like there's the moment this season where he gets a little spritz, and just the look on his face when he gets spritzed is probably one of the funniest moments, I think, for me.
So real.
The look of surprise. It was very like,
it was so like,
yeah, he was like,
how any of us would have reacted, I think. Yeah.
Oh, and then he starts to react like Scotty seeing a Star Wars trailer immediately after getting.
Well, you could see the man start to get hard just in his eyes.
Right.
You could see him like get like a half chub. And
surprised but turned on.
Right. But just this, I think that's what surprised me the most about the character. Again, being someone who is so fresh on it, is that it was less of a, what if Superman was an evil mastermind? He's not a mastermind. No. He's just pure fucking evil and has no sympathy and is a xenophobe and everything. Like, you know what I mean? Just like, he's everything. Because he thinks, again, like the way he's teaching Ryan this season, I loved the dynamic, the difference between him and Butcher, where it's like this kid has no positive role models, frankly. Unfortunately, well, Butcher, never mind. Okay,
he's trying his best for both.
He's trying. He is better than Homelander, but just to have this like, I don't even just the way that he is so enamored with teaching him. These are playthings. These people, they are not on the same level as us. They are like, they're toys. He straight up tells him that too, which is it is one of the most terrifying villains to me that I think that I've ever seen, aside from like a Michael Myers or something like that. It's just like a Michael Myers who just doesn't hide his face, who just comes up to you and is just like, will smile. And I just think that he's going to rip every person in front of him in half anytime he's with someone who is not a soup. And
even then, fucking Web Weaver.
Oh, he literally ripped Web Weaver in half, which was again horrifying for me to watch.
Oh, that was so gross.
It was so, dude. By the way, that scene. You talk about the comedy in this show and the way they know when to do a weird thing. Like, and just have it be like, just there, the way he was shitting.
The way he was webbing himself. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. It was gross.
You just could hear it splattering on the floor. It was just so fucking disgusting. By the way, the worst possible way to do a Spider-Man. Thank you, Garth Ennis, because I know that was a Garth Ennis thing. It has to be. But anyway, I think that this season especially is just, he's never been more deadly. He's never been more, and I'm not as maybe scared of him again, because again, he's not that mastermind, but that is also a little more frightening than if he was like an evil mastermind. And he's got Sage on his side now, who apparently knew that they were going to kind of fuck her over towards the end of the plan. But like, and now when she says, hey, phase 2, here we go, or whatever, I'm shitting my pants for next season, man. I'm shitting my pants for our boys. And anyway, those are my Homelander thoughts. They're all over the place right now with that man.
Joe, Homelander thoughts.
Oh man, I mean, what a loaded question.
Love him.
He's terrifying. He is terrifying. I have the exact same feeling that Gerry does whenever he's in a room with anyone that I like, including Ashley, because I think Ashley is so fucking funny. I love her so much. She makes me laugh so much. I can't wait to see what her power is next season. It's going to be hilarious, whatever it is. But he is terrifying, and I think he's equally as funny because he's kind of a clown, but he's a clown with a shotgun. and it's scary and it's funny and it's interesting, and there's ultimately he just feels alone, and his hatred of everyone around him is the cause of that, because he thinks he's better than everyone. He feels alone because he can't make any genuine connections with anyone because he's just too powerful. And then he sees the chance with Ryan, who the only reason he wants to have a connection with Ryan is because he believes Ryan is just a miniature version of himself.
Yeah.
When ultimately Ryan is his own person, and unlike Homelander, experienced love, a genuine love from his mother and from Butcher before he got in the situation he is now, which I think ultimately will make him a better person in the end than Homelander, and able to come make the right decision, hopefully, fingers crossed, but we'll see.
Come on, Butcher.
Homelander is just, he is the epitome of a narcissist and a psychopath and a child who quite literally is stuck in that angry adolescent child phase, because he didn't have any parenting, because he wasn't shown any love, because he wasn't given any respect. Like we heard about that story where, you know, the scientist caught him and he was immediately made fun of instead of, you know, explained about sexuality and like growing up, because he wasn't treated like a human. And so now he's stuck in that phase where he's sucking on mommy's milk, and, you know, it's all quite literal. And
yeah,
it's he's a really interesting character, and I ultimately think it's not gonna. I think Sage will probably end up screwing him over in the end, because that'll be her ultimate like test for herself, would be to like, okay, I brought him all the way to the peak. Now how do I take it for myself or whatever, just for fun? I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting. I'm excited to see how he dies.
he has to die, right?
I
Like, he's
mean,
going to die.
One would assume he will die, or maybe he'll fly
Man,
out into space or something. But, you know, I think he'll probably die.
He needs to explode, like so many people have done on the show.
Will it be the virus? Will it be some other sort of thing? I don't know. It's crazy.
I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong.
Oh no! What?
Be wrong. I don't think
Jared,
this
don't
show.
make me.
I don't think the show ends with Butcher and Homelander breathing.
No, I don't think so either. I think that's confirmed.
Like,
I'm
truly
prepared
do
to let
think,
go of Butcher.
I am
Huey,
truly, as of right now, like a week after the season 4 ended, I am very much of the mind that Butcher is going to go too far with killing Homelander.
Yeah.
I think Butcher will kill Homelander, see it as an empty victory, and will take the next steps to be and this will never happen again because I'm going to do all the wrong things to prevent it, and that the boys will have to put him down.
Yeah.
I think the Butcher ends up being the final boss.
Yeah, I think that's it. I am along that line, or maybe he'll make a sacrifice at the last second, killing him and Homelander, something along those lines. But no, Butcher's not making it out of this, babe. I'm so sorry, and I wish I were there to dry your tears. But I'm
just so afraid as to like who's gonna have to do it. You know, like that is the like
maybe Ryan.
I think it's gonna be either Ryan or Huey.
Maybe, yeah.
Ryan or Huey are going to have to be the ones to do it. And it's going to be a matter of hoping.
Or maybe all the boys.
Maybe they all do it equal parts. Like,
yeah.
You know, because that's one thing that the show is not done yet. You know, they toyed with it in season 3. Is that by the end of this story, all the boys have taken V. In the comics, like, it ends with everybody souped up. And then again, Butcher being the final boss. And having to be killed, if I remember what I know correctly. So I like the thing. Like again, it's going to be that issue of like, will Huey or Ryan or whomever do it, knowing that we did what we had to do because Butcher is so far gone, and the real Butcher would want this and not the worst part of his psyche that is truly taken over. You know, or will the wrong lessons be learned and the show ends on a down note? Like, and that's the thing that, like, so many people harp on evil Superman and, it's so edgy and da-da-da. Like, this show is aggressively fucking optimistic. Like, this show, more often than not, ends on an upswing for these characters. It really does. It is like this show is incredibly cruel to a lot of characters, Huey especially, and this season, like,
they did him dirty this season so much, man.
And I will say, just to address a controversy about this season briefly, because I don't know how I feel about this, and if either of you guys do, please talk at length if you'd like. I don't know what to do with the fact that Huey got sexually assaulted twice this season. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I truly don't. I don't know what to make of it. I think both. I think the case of the Starlight shapeshifter, it is very much there to represent Annie coming to grips with, again, Starlight is only as good as Annie is, and that she can reclaim that for herself. And if she wants Starlight to die and Annie live, then that's up to her, and like coming to grips with that dual identity concept. And I know that it like heavily emphasizes the depravity of the shifter and that mentality of like non-super abled people are less than and therefore can be playthings to those who are super abled. I appreciate those themes a lot, and I can get down with what it's trying to represent. That happening in concert with how over the top and silly the Tech Knight shit is, like, I just fully have not been able to make up my mind on it. I fully have not been able to make up my mind on it in the same way that I can't quite make up my mind on how, if at all, consensual any of the Tech Knight shit is. Like, they have Huey be like, I'm not gonna lie, I came a little bit. Which on one hand, like, okay, maybe they're saying like Huey accidentally found out some shit he's actually into and doesn't super mind everything that happened, but like it kind of took a turn there at the end. It's dubious, and I don't quite know how I feel about it. The same way I don't quite know how I feel about Wonder Woman 1984. I know a lot of people like get understandably in a very valid way upset about the way that Wonder Woman low-key assaults that guy, who has the consciousness of Steve Trevor, but is not actually Steve Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been able to make up my mind how I feel about that. I think every argument again about why that is deeply problematic and fucked up is valid. And I'm never going to say I think those arguments are wrong or even necessarily disagree with them. I think there's a part of my brain that also goes to the place of this is kind of magical and fairy tale type shit.
Yeah.
And, it's the consciousness of Steve Trevor in that body. And then you get like, it's really weird and complicated. Yeah. And I don't know how I fucking feel about it. And I don't want this episode to go by without acknowledging that there is very valid critique of how they've handled like Huey getting sexually assaulted twice this season, without at least acknowledging I don't know how I feel about it. Anyway, the other stuff, or if you guys have thoughts on the Huey stuff, with that specific Huey stuff.
With the Huey stuff, I think the thing, and I saw someone tweet about this, and I felt a little like this. I don't know if I'm wrong for feeling like this, but whenever Starlight found, like, whenever he's telling her what happened, the way that she reacts to him is a little like she gives him a hard time about it. And I thought that was a little uncalled for. And again, because I don't want to say, again, I am a straight white male, and I do not feel like I could tell a woman how but I feel like that was a little straight male, white male writing, maybe. Being like, why'd you do that to me and stuff? And then like we're good. And then he's like, all right, we're good. Winks at the camera. And I was a little like, whenever she was like giving him a hard time, I was like, how was he supposed to fucking know? How was he supposed to fucking know?
I think that moment got shortchanged a lot.
I think that, and I don't blame her. I blame the writing. I blame the writing because I think that was a little like, Y'all know me. I usually don't have as many problems with things as most people do. Like I don't really like pinpoint. I didn't like this part of the writing and stuff because I'm not a writer and I don't want to like tell people how they can do their job. But this was a glaring moment for me when I was like, to what you're saying, Huey was sexually assaulted twice this season, and I laughed a little more during the Tech Night stuff because it was just from like
so over the fucking top.
from the sheer
Yeah.
like what the fuck is going on, but like, and that was played a little more for laughs, even though again it is very rough. This is the boys.
Yeah.
But the Starlight thing got me even more because I felt for Huey a little more because she tricked the man into they tricked the man into proposing to them, which was fucked up. Like all of that shit, like just like doing all the shit, and I mean all the assault too, but just like there's so much bad shit that he goes through, and I'm not trying to say like a straight male, but it felt a little like I felt like Annie would be a little more kinder, or like would be like, I'm so sorry that happened to you and stuff. To me,
I think the crucial beat that's missing there. Sorry, Joe, what were you about to say?
No, I mean, the Tech Night stuff didn't bother me as much because it was part of the storyline where they didn't know it was Huey, and he was going along with it because he was in character. I mean, not that wouldn't be traumatic for him, because I'm sure it absolutely would. But for me, it wasn't as much of a disgusting betrayal as genuinely what happened with the shapeshifter. And I completely agreed that the way it was very jarring to me when Annie came to him
it took me out of it,
like mad at him, and I was like, it didn't make sense to me. It just felt so out of place and very out of character for her because she is a very empathetic person and also a victim of sexual assault. So you would, and her sexual assault has been brought up many times over the season. You know, it's not something that they let go, which I always appreciate because I hate when there's a sexual assault in show and then it just goes away and the character never has to deal with it mentally. But it's brought up for her in a huge way this season many times. So for her to just completely be like, now you have to get tested, and he's like, okay, that was so weird. That was poorly done to me. And I'm also like Gerry, where I'm genuinely like, oh, okay, like fine with TV shows, but like that genuinely was a moment that stuck out to me as very bizarre, very weird, very out of character, and I didn't like it. And yeah, that's how I felt as well.
Well, I think for me, and I make fun of myself for this, is that I more often than not will give something credit for what I think it's trying to say versus how they say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's how I spent longer than I care to admit defending Batman v Superman, where I'm like, I see what you're trying to say, and I wanted to
I'm gonna laugh. Wasn't expecting that reference.
But what'd you say, Gerry?
No, I think he's talking about you, maybe.
Oh,
all I said was I won't give you trouble because I don't hate that movie. So,
oh my god, I hate that movie. I'm so sorry.
I understand why it's bad. I like
Joe. Let me get you get you a jar of Granny's peach tea.
You know what? I might be that bombing, that review bombing sort of side, but with that specific era of DC movies, that's my review bombing side. That's where that comes in for me. Why is everything dark? Why is everyone like no emotion? I don't get those movies at all. It's not for me.
BVS and Suicide Squad are my guilty pleasures. But so for me, and what I was going to say was like, I think there's a very crucial beat missing that makes that exchange make sense. I don't know if it ended up on the cutting room floor. Pardon me, I think hiccup burp. That was fucking disgusting.
I love it. Listen, that makes us sound even more like the incels and stuff like what he should be doing.
I fucking sound like Lyndon B. Johnson over here. But
you swallowed a Lyndon B. Johnson.
But Jesus. But like,
sorry.
I think the beat that's missing there is Annie realizing what she's upset about. Because I think what they're going for, I think what the aim of that scene is that I think it's supposed to be Annie's final boss. of, am I
Mhm.
Annie? Am I Starlight? Is there any cohesion between these two things? What can it be? And I think for Annie, and they touch on it with the like, oh, all they had to do was throw on the suit and ask me to fuck you in it, and you were sold. And I think extrapolating it into that idea of her and her own sense of disposability, and her own sense of, again, like this conflicting sense of identity, that her realizing that she was afraid that Huey, in a very superhero fiction kind of way, loves Starlight but not Annie.
Mhm.
Does Mary Jane
Yeah.
Watson love Peter Parker or Spider-Man? That whole conflict and her coming to grips with, I came at you sideways because I was afraid of what that meant about me, and I fucked up on your part. And then I think part of that is then, and I think that beat then has a much better resolution with she found her keys the first time she looked, and this and that and water bottle, and you sweat in the cold, or like, like you're cold in a hot room, like da 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 da, and the way that he rattles those things off of like, these are the things I know are you and are inextricably you, and Starlight doesn't have a motherfucking thing to do with it unless you want it to. And I think had Annie come more to that conclusion about it being an identity thing for her to put a bow on that arc, that scene plays wildly differently. And
Agreed.
I think if Annie falls on her sword for that reaction with that moment, it sincerely makes the you just have to get tested and then we'll fuck actually really funny. Because then it's her going, not only was I wrong, I also didn't mean that shit. I think that, and I think that crucial beat of her recognizing why she's feeling that way, like, completely changes the dynamic of that scene.
Yeah.
But as it stands,
Yeah.
it's really fucking weird.
It's really
to be
weird.
fair, I thought that the criticism of him of, oh, just put the Starlight suit, I thought that was a valid concern for her. It was just the whole, like, I don't know, just like the tone and everything, the way that it, like,
yeah. Because she doesn't explain why
I thought,
she's feeling that.
right.
And yeah.
She just gets mad and, like, oh, so you were fine as long as she was fucking you and stuff. And it's like, no, like, it's more fucked up than that. But also, by the way, I did find the get tested thing funny at the end as well. It's just,
I mean,
but
Erin Moriarty delivers it very, very well. Yeah. And her chemistry with Jack Quaid is phenomenal.
Jack Quaid. I love Jack Quaid. Listen, I was already a Jack Quaid fanboy from Lower Decks, so I'm just even more a Jack Quaid guy. I hope he's safe from his dad, who likes to play Reagan. I hope that Jack's okay.
But yeah, no, I think that beat changes the dynamic of that scene, because like, because it feels like, because at that point it feels like Annie is apologizing without apologizing, like, and it almost, and I think that my biggest issue with it, and the thing that I am the most apprehensive about with the Starlight shapeshifter nonsense, is that it flattens Huey in a really weird way at the 11th hour. That heinous shit she just said to him is immediately forgiven, because meek little Huey's just happy that the girl with superpowers is willing to fuck him again.
Yeah.
Like that's the weird part. Like, I can, like, even if like the boys go their separate ways to get the fuck out of the United States of Vought at the end, and it's like, we haven't quite resolved this issue, I'd even accept that. But it is the weird, Huey has to justify it to Starlight why he knew and why he was able to put it together. And at no point does she go, you're right, and this is more about how I'm feeling than it is about you, and I'm wrong. And I think that would have made a world's difference.
Yes, because characters do that on this show.
Yes.
Which is one thing I love about this show, is they actually go like, look, I understand your position now, and here's what it's people talk. And that was just, that was what was so jarring about it, is it was like, I'm mad at you because you done cheated on me. and stuff, and then like turns right around and goes, "Oh, you better get tested, boy, so we can start fucking again." And he's like, "Hey." Anyway, we talked this to death. I'm sorry, but it was just jarring.
I think it was actually kind of interesting. It did feel very unfinished to me. It felt very quickly wrapped up and unfinished writing wise, but it did sort of go along with Annie's character arc this season, because she's been very self-involved, very introspective, very much so thinking about who she is, what makes her her, and coming to terms with the fact that she has made a lot of mistakes with Firecracker, with a lot of things that she's done in the past, coming to terms with even the shapeshifters calling her out, because she had access to her own memories, talking about, you're not a perfect person, you've done these terrible things. And I think honestly Annie is coming to terms with who she is as a person and as Starlight, and how they are intertwined. And so I think having her at the end make a mistake with Huey and really making it about herself and how it affected her, I think that's in line. I just don't think they finished it off correctly. The whole SE line did not land for me at all. I thought it was like a gross thing to say, because now you just once again it's about you. And I didn't like the way it ended, but I do understand her getting angry, maybe like as a reactionary thing, because she is being so selfish, and not in a bad way, because we all need to be selfish to grow as a person, but she is being very introspective. She is being very self-centered in this season as she is trying to grow as a person and within herself. And so I understand why she would react in that way, but I just don't think it was resolved properly. And maybe we'll see it a little bit more next season, but with how action-packed I assume next season has to be, I'm not sure if we're going to get that sort of emotional introspective, but we'll see.
We will see. We kind of touched on it, but do we have any final thoughts for what we think will be happening in this last season?
A lot of fun, a lot of hugs and kisses, kittens, puppies. No, I think we're going to come to a little bit of a time jump. I think we're going to see a United States that is completely run by Homelander and the superheroes, and I think we're going to have the Starlight maybe trying to save the rest of the boys, because as far as I know, she's kind of the only one out there.
Her and Butcher are the only ones who made it
out.
Well,
I don't know if they're going to be saving. I don't know if he's going to be in the mindset to be saving any of them. I think he's going to be completely self-centered in this season until the end.
Blinded by greed, it feels.
And I'm excited for the Annie focus season, because we keep getting blue-balled with her powers, and I just want to see her have a powerful moment, because I kind of don't even know what her powers do. Like, not really fully, because we haven't seen them really whipped out in a full, strong way, and I really want to see that, and I want her to lead the charge next season.
Yeah. Gerry?
I know that they have said that, again, so we're going to get season 2 of Gen V, and they've said that is going to be our first glimpse at this post Homelander president world. And I mean, again, I think it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough start, and I'm with you. I think that we lose Butcher. I don't know if I'm quite ready to say that he will be the final boss, but I'm not against that. That I find that very interesting. But yeah, no, I think we're going to I think you're right. I think there will be a time jump, but I think we're going to see like just the utter slavery that normal people are under. I mean, it may not be totally that, but like we're going to see like those camps put to use.
Yeah, I was going to say Technics internment camps for sure. And I mean, I do think Gen V is going to play a huge role. Like we've already seen set photos from season 2 of Gen V, and the way that it's like all of these like propaganda Homelander posters all over the campus of Godalkin, and it's gonna be a time and a half, and I'm hoping it's not too prescient, depending on what it is in November.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too true to reality.
But depending on the choices, still go vote and vote blue.
Oh yeah, please go vote.
Yeah, don't vote for Trump.
Don't please.
Or brainworms.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all we got for this boys season 4 discussion. Joe, where can the lovely people find you and all you do, babe?
I'm at Joe Organa on all social media. Follow me on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. Follow me on Twitch. I stream many times a week, and I'm having so much fun. And we're growing. We've been growing so much thanks to a couple of really nice creators who have been helping me out. And honestly, my channel's blowing up. I'm very excited. Things are going great. So yeah, follow me on Twitch. Follow me on social media. Follow me everywhere because it's Joe Organa Summer 2024, and it's only going to get hotter, babe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Follow Joe on all the things. We all do the joke about how
Everything.
Joe Organa is just, so hot that it doesn't matter what he says. And it's a fun bit.
But I also hope that that's true. That's genuinely my goal in life.
Well, I mean, you are very hot, but you have a lot of great thoughts and stuff.
Thank
and so
you.
I appreciate your what you bring to a very intelligent discussion. So
that's very sweet. Thank you guys. I love you both so much.
And
And Jared, I wanted to say before we even started that you looked good as a blonde in that Homelander picture. I think you look good as a blonde.
Thank you. You're one of the few people who do,
That was cute.
I think so
including me.
too.
I got to throw
I think you
Jared
look good.
Lander up again real quick.
You
It's
can pull off the blonde.
it's giving Norwegian Viking daddy, and I'm into it.
I made that edit with an old picture of me when I was blonde whenever they announced that Homelander would be in Mortal Kombat 1, and I've not had the time to buy and sit down and play as Homelander in Mortal Kombat yet. But when I do have that time, I'm going to be a fucking menace because Homelander is so uniquely suited to Mortal Kombat.
Mhm.
Like, I love, this is a complete non sequitur, the inclusion of both Omni-Man and Homelander in Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh my god.
They're just such layup options. And in a world where it would have been easier for WB Games to throw in DC characters, they really zigged where they could have easily zagged.
Mhm.
And I think it's really impressive that Homelander and Omni-Man do have such distinct move sets.
Yeah.
Where putting again, like Superman but evil, in two versions of that in the game, and it not just both of them playing like Injustice Superman, just out of the park. Fucking 4 stars. Go home to your mother. Tell her you're brilliant.
Good job. Good job, y'all.
Good job, everybody at NetherRealm.
Yes.
Now put Batman in. But
Tech Knight.
No.
Oh my god! But can you imagine his finisher?
I was gonna say,
Yeah, it's
that
finishing
finisher
in
is
you.
gonna be going to sloppy.
Yeah.
Let's just say, yeah, I think so.
Well, I love, and I don't keep up with fighting game tournaments as much as I used to, but apparently, so one of Homelander's like end game victory screens is him like almost like that clip of Marco Rubio and both Marco Rubio and Trump like holding the glass of water really weirdly. Is him like that with a glass of milk, like this. And it's one of his ends and like his victory screens. And apparently at Evo this past weekend, somebody like won a match as Homelander, and like they just like cut to the players as that screen started to happen, not trying to like censor it or anything, but just cut to the players, and he realized they cut away from it. So the guy who won as Homelander picked up his glass of water and started doing It's so good. But Gerry, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
Yes. Real quick, I want to say, I have to put this out there too, because I didn't get to say this in the episode, that whenever A-Train dropped MM on the stretcher in front of the hospital and the little boy looks at him, I cried a little bit. And I didn't think I would ever cry for A-Train, but that was an incredible moment, and I want to bring it up. And now that I brought that up, you can find me on the season 2 finale of Ionized Bastards that Jared and I both do. I'll let Jared gush about that show in a minute, because Jared had a badass time, and you should go watch, because it's a great fucking finale that you guys have in store for you. But also, you can find me on a little show called The Bombadcast with my little my own little sage, you might say, one Scotty Jarod, who whispers little sweet nothings in my ear and just make my murderous heart feel so light. And so go watch us on. We do live streams every Thursday. We actually just dropped all of our Acolyte episodes as podcasts in our podcast feed too. So if you don't have time to go watch our beautiful faces, which you should, because the man below me here, Joe Organa, and listen, rarely is he below.
The only time Joe Organa has been a bottom, I can tell you that.
I was gonna say, the only time he's been a bottom is right here on the screen. But
Sure.
Joe was our special guest host for the entire season, and so go check that out. Joe's on our podcast feed now, and your ears are all the better for it. But if you want to see his beautiful face and my bearded face and Scotty's wonderful chiseled features, you should go subscribe to the Bombadcast and follow me at the Canon Junkie on Twitter, that hell site.
I must play
the only thing I'll dead name.
I must play this clip as it makes me laugh, and I tried to play it on Pro and Noob, and it pisses Mitch off because he has to edit it out because it throws off the format. My voice.
You switch it. Honestly, that he might be Homelander and I might be Sanders.
Yeah,
I don't know. That might be more apt. I don't know if you'll agree.
Somebody who's better at editing put the Homelander suite under that.
Actually,
I think that makes me the deep.
I'm the deep. You're the deep. You're the deep. I'm probably honestly. Never mind.
Wait, if Scotty's wait. If Scotty's
Ashley.
Homelander, that does make me Billy Butcher, right?
God damn it. Fine. Take it. Just take it and go.
Play Scotty in trivia,
It's your show.
and he done took me bloody belt. Womp womp.
Boy, cunts.
I fucking octopus.
He's fucking bad. But anyway. Go watch Bombadcast. It's my favorite fucking Star Wars show. It's the fucking best. And as Gerry was saying, you guys can find me on at Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, DarkJedi2552, and Ionized Bastards. By the time you're watching this, well, depends on when you're watching this, but this will be coming up the same day as the season 2 finale for Ionized Bastards. I do not say this lightly. I do not say this to hype as a not so wise individual who owes $1 billion to a certain group of families. Human beings are designed to hype, but I don't just say this to hype. The season 2 finale of Ionized Bastards is the best episode of Ionized Bastards, period.
It's pretty damn good.
It's gonna be a big nut bust.
I was trying to play that clip for a good 5 seconds and my cursor wouldn't work. But no, go watch it. It has everything. It has reemergences of characters from earlier in the season. It has a killer stinger to set you guys up for the 3rd and final season of Ionized Bastards. It has a titanic lightsaber duel. It has thrilling suspense and one of my favorite, probably my favorite moment I've ever gotten to have as a Star Wars fan because I was in it.
It's a legit. There is a legit great Star Wars moment in this episode, and it was not just Jarod who thinks that. It was everyone on screen, and it was also the people who were watching backstage, the super fans. And so there is legitimately one of I think, a great Star Wars moment, and that was beautiful to be a part of. So. Go watch it. It
was just incredible. It was just so good. And
it's beautiful.
We joke about we accidentally made a good Star Wars story last night because we recorded it last night at time of recording. We made Star Wars last night, and I'm so excited for everybody to see it. You
did it without AI.
And we did it without AI.
We didn't use AI. And we're talking about it like we shit in a bed or something. But like we accidentally made a Star War.
Yeah. Absolutely. So please, guys, go check that out. It's just my favorite project I've ever gotten to be a part of.
It's so
and I'm so excited to do the final season. Like, I'm so afraid. I'm so sad to lose Ionized Bastards. But I can't.
I feel like I am a child robot now, like who can kill like very efficiently. So
I want to say how I feel, but spoilers, baby.
we can't say it.
We certainly can't say it. I'll just tell you, don't. But you can also check me out on Pro and Noob, the show I do over at the Mitch692 YouTube channel, where he's taking me through every episode of Neon Genesis Evangelion, one episode at a time. We're having a great time over on Pro and Noob. We are about halfway through the show, so come by, come check out Pro and Noob. I'm slowly losing my fucking mind. So that's a great time. Go check that out. Also, next week or the week after, we'll be doing a live stream talking about the first 2 seasons of Ionized Bastards. So check that out as well on the Many Systems YouTube channel. All of that is linked down below. You also find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, and over at our website, thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you want to get your hands on TNAP merch, you can go ahead and click that student store link.
tpublic.com.
And if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Hey, give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, I just realized Joe has not seen Give Me $1 before.
No, it's new to me. It's late night at a strip club.
Okay, I'm going to tell Joe a funny story. So I'm going to play it again so you're prepared for the Joe scare.
Hey, give me $1.
Okay, so Give Me $1 is this guy who does Renaissance festivals as a performer. And his whole thing is that he plays a bum on the street asking for money. He's very funny. He plays his little accordion thing. He's wonderful. I was at the Renaissance Festival with Taylor for the first time. And I was like, oh, that guy's so funny. She goes, you should get a video of him to use as a bumper for your Patreon plug at the end of the show. And I was like, that's so fucking funny. So I go back. I give him $5 and I'm like, can you just yell, give me $1? Because the whole time he's like, give me $1. He's just yelling that at people. So I'm like, hey, can you yell, give me $1 for me for my podcast? He goes, sure. So then he goes,
Hey, give me $1.
So flash forward a couple years. The museum Spencer works at has a couple people come in who were close-ish to the area for another Renaissance thing. And he's talking to them and they're like, oh, what do you do? She's like, oh, I'm like a fairy princess. Oh, I do shit with swords. And he's like, oh, I play a bum that screams, give me $1 at people. And Spencer goes, you're fucking kidding. And he goes, no, that's my whole thing. He goes, how do you say it? He goes, give me $1. And Spencer's like, you're not going to believe this. So he pulls up the podcast and shows it to him. He's like, is this you? And he like scrubs to the end of the episode. Give me $1. And Spencer's like, he's like, oh yeah, that's me. And he's like, there's that guy who asked me to do the thing for his podcast. He's like, yeah, same show. Oh my God. So here's Spencer with Give Me $1 guy, not covered in mud.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh
that happened in 2022 because
incredible.
We told the story while we were doing Andor reviews, so that would have been that. So
what a small world.
Right. Like running into Give Me $1 guy in the wild, not covered in mud with an accordion. Sensational. But thank you guys so much for watching. Next week on the Nerd Academy, you guys are going to be getting a twofer. We will have a review out for Deadpool and Wolverine. So stay tuned for that. And we are also going to be doing a San Diego Comic-Con news roundup. So be sure to stay tuned into the Nerd Academy podcast for our thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine, a movie I am very excited for, as well as a roundup of all the news to come out of San Diego Comic-Con. I think we're going to be getting stuff about Fantastic Four, hopefully Blade, allegedly Doctor Strange 3, maybe some Superman stuff. So time will tell. Maybe what I just said ages like fucking milk in the sun, but we will see. But stay tuned to the Nerd Academy podcast. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. Follow Joe Organa, subscribe to the Bombadcast, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!
Homelander done killed me bloody wife and took me bloody son.